Today we're going to talk about the Mandela Effect and memory, how it's powerful but unreliable. A lie is where you willfully mislead somebody knowing that what you're saying is factually incorrect.
I think I lie very well for my profession.
What does a liar look like? What does a psychopath look like?
I just want to say I hope there's a lot of criminals listening to this. You'll be picking up some good tips.
Bradford.
Hello, Stephen. How are you?
No, I'm very good. You're looking well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Every time I see you, I'd say 99% of the time you've got this big smile across your face. So I want what you're on.
Yeah, that's right. I've got an acquired brain injury. There was always a Spike Milligan quote I remember about this young guy was always smiling because he got hit in the head with a swing when he was a kid. Turned around and go, "I'm coming, Mum," and bang, a swing right in the head.
Ouch.
But, he was happy.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. I don't know. Look, Steve, I think that's a testimony to you. I smile. You see me smile because I'm happy in your company.
Well,
there he is again.
I think you're telling the truth. Yeah.
And he's come back. He wants to do another pod.
Yeah, there you go. No, I enjoy these, and as we build up and we get more listeners, I don't know about you, but I think it's a great opportunity to impart knowledge, a bit of comedy in the process, and the feedback I'm getting is they're enjoying it.
Good.
They love the subject material.
Impart knowledge and clarification too. Do we have any things we need to clear up?
We do, actually. One of our listeners brought up, the question was, what is the MCG?
Oh, no, this was in relation to your golf drive.
Correct. My 271 that you keep misquoting at 270.
Yeah, no, I wasn't here. It was misquoting at 270. I said it was 271. Thank you.
Oh, I thought who misquoted?
Our producer.
Oh, well, what does he know?
And that's a false memory. But anyway, we'll get back.
We will talk about that later.
Get to that. Look, it is a fair question, the MCG, because our international listeners wouldn't know. Probably everybody in Australia would know that it's actually a sporting ground. It's the initials. The acronym stands for the Melbourne Cricket Ground, and it's a massive arena where.
What's the number they can fit in now? It's over 100.
105,000, I think. 105,000 people, which is
the biggest in Australia.
Well, yeah, and I think too, as people, I wonder as people kind of get a little bit more beefy, people put on a little bit more weight, whether or not those numbers would go down.
Oh, you mean they could squeeze more?
Yeah. I
think the architects had that in mind when they built it.
Yeah. Well, you notice seats on airplanes are getting smaller, and that's what I keep telling myself. So anyway, so it's the MCG, and it's a sporting ground, and I can't remember now what the numbers were, but it was built for cricket. And then Australian rules football began because I think the cricketers wanted something to do to keep fit during the winter months, and so they played this football that grew out. But
also the venue for concerts.
Yeah, very
cricket,
much.
Football, rugby being played there.
Yeah, I saw David Bowie there in.
They tell me the acoustics are not that good though.
Wow,
a lot of echo. Yeah, not designed for concerts, obviously.
Well, I don't think the open air was. It's just where are they good?
Yeah, good point.
So anyway, so that's. I hope that's cleared that up, and that's why. And because this is what people do all the time is when you want to describe a distance, you might think of
length of football,
an equivalent landmark, and just say, well, that's it's that far. I know that the oval, not the oval, the playing field where I went to school was 140 metres because we could do the 100 metres dash and there was 20 metres either side of that. So if anybody ever says to me 1,000 metres, I always think of 9 of those.
I'll just talk about the 100-metre dash. When I went through the police academy here in Victoria,
Oh, yes.
one of the fitness tests was a 100-metre sprint in, wait for this, under 27 seconds. You literally could stop and have a beer along the way and still complete it in that 27 seconds. The funny thing was, now I won't mention the fellow recruit who was with me, but she could never do the 100-metre sprint in that allocated time. And I got an incident report. This is what they gave at the academy back in those days. I think they still do it. But anyway, so she could not do the run. And one day all the drillies, drill sergeants and drill instructors said, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to go down, we're going to line the 100-metre track, and you're going to encourage your fellow squad mate by, yelling, encouraging incentives and whatnot to get her across the line. And I'm thinking, this would be really interesting because we knew she would never do it or never make it within the time limit. Anyway, we get down there and we're all lined up and anyway, they go, and she's running or wobbling or whatever she was doing. And it was clear to me she was not going to make that 100-metre sprint. And I started laughing. I don't know why. I just thought it was quite funny. But anyway, and one of the drill instructors saw me and I wasn't really encouraging her.
Oh, yes.
And anyway, she doesn't do it. Anyway, they go, fall back. So we fall back in and I'm in line and all of a sudden one of the drill sergeants come up within a centimetre of my face, yelling and spit hitting my face and all that sort of stuff. And he said, why weren't you encouraging your fellow squad mate to, finish within 27 seconds? And I thought about it and I thought, I'm going to tell the truth. I said, well, everyone else comes down here when they can't do anything and they do it in their own time. I've never seen, I won't mention her name, so-and-so. So I don't know if she's not prepared to do it. Why should we encourage her to do it if she doesn't want to do it on her own? And he thinks about it. This is in front of the whole squad. He says, good point, step back. So, yes, a 100-metre sprint. If you can't do that in 27 seconds, I don't know, maybe you're not built for running. Another inquiry through our website is I spoke about a test that I did. A couple who'd been arguing for nearly 60 years, in their 20s, they actually met each other at a dance. And the boyfriend at the time, they eventually get married, of course, for nearly 60 years. They're in their 80s. Yeah. Was convinced that his now wife had an affair or had some sort of sexual contact with someone she met at that particular dance. And for nearly 60 years, he accused her of cheating. So they come in and they wanted to do a test. She wanted to do the test and she passed. Whether or not she had sex with that particular person. And he still didn't believe it.
Yeah,
after all that.
I wondered, because I thought about that afterwards, after we did the show, and I wondered if his perspective was that another bloke told him that he had.
Yeah, well, no, I remember it quite clearly. He said that she went out, she was talking to a guy for about 5-10 minutes and come back in, and for some reason just got it in his head that he believed that she was seeing him, and just factually wasn't true. There's no, me, I'm an evidence man, and apparently there's no corroborating evidence other than his jealousy.
Well, I know that with my partner that if she's out of my sight for more than 27 seconds, I know she's at least 100 metres away.
It's like a friend I play golf with, and he's this big boy, and he said, Steve, if you see me running, shoot whatever it is that's chasing me.
Yeah, fair enough.
And the final thing, a question come up about...
Sorry, I just say, so we don't mind doing these clarifications, and I suppose we have to listen a little bit closer because we are, not completely filling in the gaps.
Yeah. And the third thing that was brought up was there was a question about eye detect. How does it work? Well, it's predicated on the basis that if we know through science...
So it's eye detect versus...
Polygraph. So polygraph, old school, measuring changes in heart rate, blood pressure, blood volume, emotional sweating, respiratory patterns, rah-de-rah-de-rah. Eye detect uses an infrared eye scanner to measure ocular responses, so everything from pupil dilation, blink rate, eye fixation, response latency, measures around about 350,000 metrics during the test. So it's pretty high tech. Best thing of all.
How long's the test?
The actual test itself around about 35 minutes.
Right.
So the questions are displayed on the screen, but also read out through headphones, and you just answer true or false. Now, the advantage is it gets you to lie to certain questions.
Yeah.
Now, it stores that data.
Yeah.
Then later on, it uses comparative algorithms looking for similarities or differential from the previously collected data. So it's probably a better way of doing it than polygraph.
Right.
And, of course, as we see, developments in AI and all sorts of things in the future, who knows where it's going to be in the next 2 years.
Can anybody beat it?
One of the things I noticed the other day, a guy and I always sit next to them, and because the infrared scanner measures, blink rate and all those things I just mentioned, and he was sitting there and he had his eyes closed, and of course the infrared can't read it. And I said, "Are you going to open your eyes during this test?" And he goes, "Oh yeah." And then he deliberately put his hand in front of his face to block the infrared. So people, but that's what people do. The other thing. I've got to be careful what I say here, but we don't like when people use eye drops just before it, because some eye drops have like a what do you call it? What's the word? Like anaesthetists use it to. I can't think of the word.
I can't think of it. I know the word you mean.
I think about 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll text you at 3 o'clock in the morning. Right. Anaesthetise. It's like it stops the pain and the feeling and all the rest of it. So therefore can affect pupil dilation.
Right. So I remember the eye drops too, that because we used to use eye drops when I used to go night clubbing. But if you get under an ultraviolet light, it will show up all the veins that have been
how much you drank.
Yeah. And
I have never heard that one.
Yeah, I used to do a joke about it too, because there's a lot of ultraviolet light, particularly in the 90s, and I used to get under the ultraviolet light in my black suit and go, "Oh, look, I'm a Lamington," right? Because it would show up all that lint on your clothing. And just to let people know internationally, so we don't get a letter. And Lamington is a small cube chocolate cake, sponge cake,
with
covered in chocolate with desiccated coconut on the outside. That's why you would look like a Lamington.
Not dandruff.
No, so I've run interference on that one. So anyway, well, that is fascinating, and I imagine you could train yourself not to blink. Is that right?
You can, but it's not really natural. I mean, some people do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever noticed that. One of the things I notice, good public speakers are really good at maintaining the eye contact and not looking away. But sometimes, I mean, I think it's around about 60% of the time we actually engage in good frontal alignment and eye contact. Usually when we're processing or cognitively thinking about things, we may look up in a particular direction. That's why loss of eye contact is not always indicative of deception, but can be neurological recall.
Right. Well, yeah, see, I've learnt to look at an audience because, I've done stand-up comedy for so long with bright lights in my eyes. I probably don't blink very much at all because it would be distracting, and also because I'm always trying to look authentic on stage. So I'm trying to do everything to not look like I'm lying.
You know what would be hard, and as you know, I do speaking as well. When you're standing there and you've got lights in your eyes, and like maybe first and second row you can see, but beyond that, they're dark, they're black. And it's really difficult to actually see whether or not you're connecting or you built that rapport, they're laughing and whatnot. Yeah. Do you find that?
Well, no, yeah, but what it is, because I've done this for so long, one of the things I was taught to do very early is there's nothing wrong with, after you've been speaking for a few minutes, to just duck down and have a look under the lights and see where everybody is. Because for me, I finally got to do a gig in the Last Laugh, which was the place to work in Australia, and this was in the mid-90s. And I finally got to work on this stage, and it was 3 tiers. And the main body of people were set down from the stage, then set up about 5 feet higher, and then a further balcony tier. Anyway, my first notes after my first night were, you need to look up at the people in the balcony, all right, because they don't feel any.
Could you have seen them or no?
Well, no, I didn't even know they were there, right? And so, but that was the note I was given. So the next night I went out there, and afterwards I was given notes, and the guy said to me, "I'm really happy with how well you take notes, but you don't need to look up the balcony when there's no one there." Okay.
So it was a sellout.
Well, yeah, because what it was opening night was it was always a full house, and I was taken in by that. So, but what you do is you learn to look under, but also because if you've done this for a long time, and I would do it say more regularly than you do. You speak a lot, but I would do it more regularly, and so I compensate for what I can't see by identifying through sound. So I can hear noise coming from somewhere.
Laughter, I assume.
Well, laughter, but also the solidity of that laughter. You know, if it's kind of like if it's got holes in it and sporadic, I know there's not many people sitting there, and I might duck under the lights, just bend down and have a look under the lights for a little confirmation to see that I'm right, that there are people there. Anyway,
What are we talking about today?
Well, I was wondering if you were aware of the Mandela Effect. I know you would be.
I am actually.
Okay, so would you care to explain it for our people?
Well, you've probably got a better definition, but I look at it from the perspective of when I was a detective, and we rely on memory for recalling historical events. Now, sometimes our memory can be influenced. So memory, and one of the things that I've seen a lot, I could go to a crime scene. Let me give you a great example. I went to an armed robbery and I spoke to 3 separate witnesses, and all 3 witnesses identified a different car. Now, every witness honestly believed that, like when I say different car, not just models but colours.
Yeah.
So what happens, and that's why police usually separate witnesses. So they try to incorporate. Yeah, of course. And so it might be that you really honestly believe that what you're recalling is correct, but it may not be. It's how you reconstruct, or your perspective, or the influence. And I'm sure you've got some great examples, but give us the specific definition of the Mandela Effect.
So my understanding from what I researched was the Mandela Effect, which I'd heard of it, was that, pardon me, that people used to apparently talk about Nelson Mandela, the lead of the African National Congress, who was jailed in South Africa.
Political beliefs.
And despite the fact that he was eventually released and became the leader, I'm not sure if it was Prime Minister or President of South Africa, many people used to recall that he perished while in jail. And that's why it's called the Mandela Effect, because it's a complete little false memory.
Because he was released and then passed away after he was released.
Yeah.
The definition of the Mandela Effect is when a large group of people remember something incorrectly in the same way, and it feels like a shared memory, but it doesn't match reality.
Yeah, and a classic one is the movie Casablanca, where apparently people used to believe that in the movie Rick, the guy who owns the nightclub, says to the piano player, "Play it again, Sam."
Yeah.
And he never says that.
What did he say? Do you remember?
In what I was looking up, said was not specified, but some said he said, "Play it, Sam."
I've got a couple of examples. Monopoly.
Yeah.
You know, the guy who, basically the old guy.
Mr. Moneybags.
Mr. Moneybags, that's him. People often picture rich Uncle Pennybags, actually, wearing a monocle.
So we just did it then.
We did, didn't we? We did it ourselves, correct.
Yes.
But he never did have a monocle.
No.
And most people would actually remember him with a monocle. So another one, and I must admit I'm not a big Star Wars, but I'm sure a lot of listeners are. The actual line from Star Wars was, "No, I am your father," as opposed to Luke, "I am your father."
Yeah.
So. And I do this with songs a lot. Right? I remember the lyrics of a particular song, and only to find out years later I've been singing the wrong lyrics.
Yeah. Well, that's called a mondegreen. Right? And a mondegreen is a mishearing or misinterpretation of a phrase in a song, and it came from Sylvia Wright. there was a song in 1954. It stems from mishearing "Laid Him on the Green," right, as "Laid Him on the Green."
Oh, there you go.
And so hence the name. And there's some famous ones there. Remember Greg Fleet, comedian I worked with many years.
I know.
He had one which was "Love is like hot chicken." Right, too much will get you high. And he used to say, if I knew it would get me high, I would have had more
Chicken.
But it's a sweet song. It's actually "Love is like oxygen."
Yeah.
All right. I went to school with a guy, Jerome Newman, who Jerome said to me, I heard this fabulous song by Skyhooks called I'm Never, Never 17. Yeah, and it was I'm living in the 70s.
Yeah. And that's not even close, really, is it?
Not even close, but we were, at the time we were just like, wow, we're 14. We may never be 17. And so we gave ourselves a reason to believe it. There's so many of these, but it's in particular for our ambit, that's benign. There's no, if I get the words to a song wrong, that's not a problem.
No consequence,
No.
other than ribbing from your partner or something.
Yeah, but there's been
But yes, and this is the exact reason. We know there are frailties in human memory. And in the US, there are people who are on death row convicted solely on eyewitness testimony.
Eyewitness.
And we know there's a lot of research that shows that it is unreliable.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons, because it comes down to interpretation, and I guess the point is, why does it happen? So let's talk about it. Firstly, memory is reconstructive. So your brain tries to fill in the gaps when we don't always have all the information, and that's a natural phenomenon. That's a natural process. Our brain tries to make sense of what's happening and fills in the gaps. Sometimes the gaps that it fills may be incorrect. And that's why barristers during cross-examination, if they're good, can really expose inconsistencies or statements that are not factually correct. Secondly, social reinforcement. So hearing others repeat the mistake is how we learn. And sometimes, I'm sure you've had it too. We've been out places and people have had arguments and they're really specific about, oh, no, this is how it was said or this is what it was said, but they're wrong, right? And it's just because they've known it for so many years. They've known it no different. The other thing is what we call pattern recognition, where the brain corrects things to match familiar patterns that we feel comfortable with. Right?
Right.
So it's how our brain maps and how it stores data. So yes, we can store it, but sometimes the retrieval is a problem, and that's why in a lot of eyewitnesses' accounts that I've been involved in, sometimes you think, well, how can your witness get it so wrong?
Yeah,
but they do, and it's not intentional in some cases. It's just what happens.
Well, I think too that when you talk about witnesses and you talked about separating people, because I think too that there's forceful personalities. Now, I don't know if I've brought this up before, but I told you about the carotid artery incident.
Go on.
Okay, so I was talking to this person and I said, I used the term the carotid artery. And she said, I think you'll find it's the carotid artery. And I said, and I was probably in my 20s, and I said, I think you'll find it's the carotid artery because I'm quite well read. And she said, yeah, I thought it was, and this is in my 20s, so there was no internet or anything like that. And I said, and she was starting to come around to my way of thinking. And I said, look, I've read this word several times. And I'll go and get the dictionary, and because I'm never more than 100 metres from a dictionary. 27 seconds, I'm there. And I've just said, I've come back and I've gone, oh my God, you're right. It's the carotid artery. It's not the carotid artery. And you can see I've just simply transposed the letters from reading it. And she said, yeah. And I said, oh, this is terrible. And she said, it's not that big a deal. I said, no, this is absolutely devastating. And she said, what's the problem? And I said, I've convinced about 4 other people that they were wrong because we didn't have a dictionary.
And, of course, those 4 other people convinced 4 other people who've convinced 4 other, and you can see how it grows.
There's a lot of doubt out there, right?
Caused by you.
Yeah, caused by me. And so I would say that you'd want to separate me because I could be a forceful personality. I could dominate people and say, I think it was a blue car.
And this is what happens with witnesses. They can be easily influenced.
And also, too, that this is apparently a strategy used in politics these days is the dissemination of false information, right? Because if you put enough crap out there, everything is up for debate. This may be true. This could have happened. Maybe it didn't happen. You know, look at all the things now that are being attributed to Donald Trump. Like, you know, if somebody said to me that, you know, he walked out with a bag of shit on his head, I go, what's he done now? Really? You know, because there's this just willingness to
But not just that. There's also a proliferation of AI, you know, a lot of, what do you call it, you know, deep fakes, all that type of thing. And, you know, some of them are getting so good. I look at them and I'm thinking, wow. I mean, some look, you know, not too good, but others you think, wow. And you can see how perceptions are formed based on AI and deep fake technology.
I know. I think there was a deep fake of me actually cleaning my lounge room, and I went, "Have you gone too far there?"
We know that's not true.
You're a trained observer, but you, as police, as you get certain observational training, don't you?
That's a very good question. I remember when I was at the academy, they teach you to be good observers, and the reason being is because sometimes it may be, you know, important in the case, building a case. But you know, I remember one of the instructors saying, "You drive past a car and the bonnet's up. Is the person the owner of the car, and you know, checking why the battery's not working, or are they trying to steal it?" So, you know, a good observations. Some of the best detectives I worked with were very good at observations.
Yeah.
And when I interview, one of the things is I want to see how you react to the question. Are you being evasive, sidestepping the issue, all that type of thing? Because sometimes the question can become the threatening stimulus, which engages changes in your behaviour. So holistically, I look for a number of things. But I honestly believe the best interviewers are not just question askers, but good observers.
Yeah, so I knew a copper. I won't say his name, but he was a career senior constable. You know, like he'd been a sergeant a couple of times and been busted back. Oh. So he's always up on disciplinary charges and always being asked to account for himself. In fact, he actually gave me a lift to a nightclub one night in a police vehicle. And we went round a corner and the car got sideways and we nearly hit a tram. And I said to him, what would you have done if we'd hit that tram? And he said, I would have put you in handcuffs and said that I'd arrested you because I shouldn't have been in the car. But he was telling me, he said to me that, and he was a general duties copper. And, it's like beat coppers back in the day, I suppose, that they are observational because they're looking for the things that are out of place. Yep. And he said to me, you can drive towards me and I will think nothing of it. But if you drive past me and suddenly put on your indicator and turn, I might turn around and follow you to see why you've turned off.
Good observers, and I may have mentioned this, I can go to a crime scene and I can tell you pretty much in minutes whether it's organised, disorganised, whether the offender's spent time with the victim post-mortem, the body's been moved, all that type of thing. How does that come about? It's observation skills. Yeah. It's about, asking questions, obviously, looking forensic, scientific, medical evidence to corroborate it. But
you told us that story about where they redressed the corpse, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, actually, they put the deceased in a bed and lied about how he got there, but the problem was he was fully clothed. So obviously he passed away then, they moved him. But observation skills are everything.
So as a trained observer, okay, now you saw me pull up. What colour's my car?
Silver or white, I think it was. One thing I did notice when you parked, the mirrors automatically, both of them, I've never seen that, they actually lifted upwards. So I thought that's unusual. Now, here's the thing.
I train them that way.
See, memory's really interesting because if I said go out and count, number of red cars you see, you're going to be focused on that. You're going to be oblivious to, say, the number of white cars. If I say how many white cars, I don't know, you didn't ask me to look for that. So observational skills. See, the other thing too is when you really become focused and pay particular attention, things start showing, like your blink rate. Right?
Yeah.
So often when I sit opposite you looking at you, sometimes I notice you blink, quite frequently, 6 to 8-fold after saying something. Sometimes you don't. Now, is that normal for you? That's why we have to benchmark, and I'm sure we've spoken about benchmarking before, so I look for deviations. Now, I've drawn your attention to it, and one of the big mistakes investigators do is they draw their attention, a person's attention of body language. And I remember watching an FBI video, and one of the interviewers says, I noticed when I start talking about this, you do this. And automatically she started controlling her behaviour. So one of the things I say is never ever draw your attention or the attention of a person to what they're doing, because then they'll deliberately engage in behaviours other than that. So don't draw attention to the one thing you're paying attention to.
So to put that in a nutshell, if you're out there listening to this, thinking to yourself, I'm going to be a detective, the one thing you learn to not say is, aha.
Try not to make it too obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
So what's
sometimes I wonder how your brain works, but yeah.
I've read a lot of Agatha Christie, and there's a lot of aha. The killer is.
Yes. I'm just trying to think if I ever done that. I go, no, I might use other terminology, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You may want to hide it, but what I want to know is what stock do you put in? You see, this is a device in crime shows and in crime movies where they go, all right, we're going to hypnotise the witness. And so take them back to the scene. Is there any stock in that?
Well, I can actually talk about that with a bit of credibility. I'm a clinically diagnosed. Actually, let me rephrase that. I'm a clinically certified clinical hypnotherapist.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. I actually have done a course in that, and because I maybe for another episode I got in trouble for hypnotising Steve Wozgen in year 11 to sing a Peter Allen song when the school bell went, and I was promptly subpoenaed into the principal's office and promised that I would never hypnotise another student. So I had the interest back then, but. It's very little research on the effectiveness of recalling somebody. I mean, you can take people back, and unless it's of something that really meant something to them, if you can't actually draw a memory that they can't remember. It's like saying, "Can you hypnotise me to be smarter?"
Right.
No, you can't. So very limited effectiveness in using hypnosis to recall. And I know some police departments have done it and have used it, but it's not that effective.
Okay, so this is then the promulgation of myth from Hollywood, isn't it? It's just like
using clairvoyance to recover deceased or bodies from somewhere.
Yeah, because this is, and I love reading about crime. I love I love crime fiction more than anything else. I'm not really a true crime kind of person, but I do love good plots. And Arthur Conan Doyle and Sherlock Holmes was the forerunner of writing really good logical solutions, as opposed to the proliferation these days of plot devices like, well, I will hypnotize the person to reveal, right? Or even there's so much coincidence, there's so much accidental. Oh, but wait a minute! Oh, like on all the CSI shows, their knowledge is unbelievable. Oh, well, that's blue algae. That only grows in Canal Street during the summer months.
Yeah, but the thing I'd love about, well, I hate really, about those CSI shows, I mean, they go to the scene, they examine the scene, and then they are interviewing. It doesn't work like that. What happens is it's a totally separate area. So crime scene, forensic science will go there. They'll look for blood spatter. They'll videotape, video record. They'll look for gunshot residue, fingerprints, all that type of thing. Then whatever they gather or collect from that is then passed on to the detectives for further investigation. So.
Yeah. Well, on that did we discuss this before the
No, we
CSI Miami show?
We did.
We did, yeah. And how many people? He killed over 50 people. The copper shot 50 people. Not one inquiry.
It is television, don't forget.
Yeah, and when you seriously injure somebody in police work in Australia, are you suspended? Are you taken off duties, or
if you do what?
If you injure somebody, like if you
during
shot
an
somebody,
interview.
yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. So here in Victoria, I can speak here in Victoria. So if you're involved in a police shooting, what will and I have been involved, not for different reasons, but they will always seize your firearms and they will investigate it. It's oversighted by the Homicide Squad and Professional Standards Division. They'll do gunshot residue swabs to see if you've discharged your firearm, and it becomes an investigation. Absolutely.
So, but are you suspended, or you wouldn't be allowed to go out without your firearm, would you?
Well, yeah, no. It depends on the circumstances, but no, unless there's any evidence of criminality where the force has proven or put together a brief of evidence, and they think there's a reasonable possibility of a conviction. Then in that case, you will be, suspended. But there are different requirements. But if at the end of the day, it comes down to the investigation and whether or not they think you're a risk to putting you back on the road.
Okay, so as we're kind of winding up, we're talking about the Mandela Effect. Of course, the some other ones that may amuse people is. C-3PO in Star Wars. You mentioned Star Wars.
Yep.
And I didn't know this. Remembering him as being all gold, right?
Silver. Was he silver?
Yeah, but one leg is silver.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so they ran out of money.
Oh, really?
They must have. I just go, well,
we'll film his good side.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I almost want to watch set. But this one blew me away. Is Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, okay? And I think it's actually just says mirror. What is it? I've got to add it.
Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the
Mirror, Mirror on the Wall? It says magic mirror on the wall is the original line.
Oh.
Yeah, and everybody, and again, because it's oft repeated by people, and it's mirror, mirror. But
it becomes, folklore and then factual when it's not.
Exactly. It's there you go, and it's carotid artery.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one that did change is a lot of people when I was at school started to say, what is it? I dry reached.
Yep.
Right? I dry reach. And I used to correct them because the term is dry retch.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because retch is to actually make that involuntary preface to regurgitation.
Yep.
And it became something that eventually got into the dictionary because of usage.
Yeah.
Because so many people said reach.
Absolutely. So let us know, some of the listeners, some of the things that you've believed for years and years to be factually correct, but the Mandela Effect has actually been totally different to what you thought the saying was, or the information, or the show, or whatever. I'd be interested to see what some things, what people come up with.
Try and remember what colour my car is. It's not silver.
White.
It's white.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that should just about wrap it up. Is there any last words you want to have?
No, but next week's topic will be interesting.
Yeah.
We won't go into what it is because we want our viewers to come back, but bit of a interesting topic.
All right. Well, I would have said that about every week, but I'm intrigued.
You'll find out.
I will definitely be listening next week. All right, Steve. Well, thank you.
Good on you. All the best. Speak soon.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. I just want to say I hope there's a lot of criminals listening to this. You'll be picking up some good tips.